Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to this program, to a new episode under the title of Classroom Management. Remember that all these things that we are discussing fall under how to make our teachers effective teachers, or how to make learning and teaching effective in the classroom. One of the items that's related to the effectiveness of the classroom is how to manage the classroom. Let's first try to understand what is meant by classroom management. What do you manage? When we talk about managing, what do we manage? Yes?
The first and foremost are the students. We have to manage them.
Okay, when we talk about management, we talk about managing human beings. Okay, what else do we manage?
Time.
Time, very good.
Resources.
And resources. Okay, so 3 elements at least when we talk about classroom management. Managing human beings there, which mainly is the students, managing the time that we use, and managing the resources. Is there anything to add before we explain this? Okay, let's start with the easiest part. What is the easiest part of it to manage from your perspective? Huh? Resources, right? Resources don't speak up, don't complain a lot. Yes. So we can manage them, yes, by good use of them, right? Many of us would have some resources, but really we don't use them. We gave an example of the playground. The many objects, for example, the maps on the wall, the pictures of the magazines, the cheap magazines that are everywhere in the houses of the students and in the library. We don't use them well. They're very good source that you can use. As we learned that a picture, one picture represents or is stronger than 1,000 words. So using these simple things to use. The frequency of using them is an element. How frequent do you use them? You have a laptop, but you don't use it in your class. You use it once every 2 years when a visitor comes to you, right? Okay, so how frequent do we use them, and how effective do we use them? We don't use these resources just for the sake of use. If they have effect, if they make impact, if they make difference, right? So we use them. Otherwise, we don't use them. Okay, of course the class will be dull, right? And sometimes the resources are in your place, and sometimes you go to the resources. You go to a museum closer to you, you go to the playground in your school, you go to visit a neighbor school because it has some plantation and you want to teach the students about this. So sometimes the resources are in your place, they are mobile. Sometimes, yeah, you visit and go outside to use the resources. Remember all the time that the parents are resources. The houses of the students are resources. When you ask them who can prepare these materials to make this experiment, who can prepare such a thing to make this exhibition. When we make exhibitions, we ask the student who can bring national clothes to represent the area or he or she lives in. So the houses of the students even are considered resources. It's not just in your school. Anything about resources. It's the easiest part. Alhamdulillah. Let's go to another one. Do you want to make a comment? Please go ahead. Yeah. We change our minds every minute.
Even what the students use in their day-to-day things are our resources.
Yes, using them day-to-day. Said that Montessori schools depend mainly on games and plays, ready-made plays for them. If you enter a class, all of it resources. All of it. And you enter other classrooms, you find only the teacher and the board, if you find it. In some classes, you don't find even a board to write on. I'm serious, in some classes, there's no board. Some places are so poor that the only one who teaches is the teacher, and there's nothing else with the teacher except his brain. Okay, the second one is how to manage time management. I gave an example in one of the episodes by saying that they made some studies which is the best class would be class A, class B, class C, class D. Do you remember this example? Yes. When one of them is, the teacher is very skillful in managing the time. And she's average even in the subject matter. But she knows how to use the time well. And in fact, when you reflect upon this, you understand that to manage the time well, it's better for you to have good relationship with the students. Because if you don't have good relationship with you, right, they will cause some problems to you. All of us know about the tricks and the traps that the students do to the teachers, and they are very creative in this. So if you build up good relationship with the students, which is in a way or another falls under managing human beings, it's still the purpose of it is to save time. You're saving time so that you can use the time properly. You can save time also by methods of teaching. You know that this method, right, is more effective than this method. You can get the same result if you use this method than if you use this method, right? So this method, for example, takes from you 7 minutes, the other one takes from you 12 minutes, so this method is better. We gave very clear example for this. It's about reading, right? Remember the examples of reading? When we said that one student is reading, all students are listening. Another student is reading, all students are listening. A third student is reading, all the students are listening, right? And that's it, the class is over. Versus when you divide the class into 2 rows, right? When one row, all of it reads at the same time, while the other row is correcting them, and then you reverse it. So in 10 minutes or less, all students read. So again, there are many strategies. Knowing the strategies, right, and using them helps you use time effectively. Now it's your turn to tell me something here that helps you, right, to save time from these things that we discussed before. Yeah.
Knowing which part of the chapter or the lesson is concept-based, which is skill-based, and which is knowledge-based.
Yes.
Because I need not waste my time on knowledge-based questions rather than just explain to them, understand.
Right. Knowledge does not require from you to spend a lot of time on it. You say it once and that's it. It depends on the memory of the student. But the concepts require more time. Skills sometimes require more time. So you need to know how to invest your time, where to invest it, here or there. What else?
Having the prior knowledge of your students will help you save time during a lesson.
A good balance between group work and individual work.
Yes. Group work and some tasks work very well when you ask the students to work in groups.
Knowing the different kind of learners in class will also help you save time.
Yes, of course. If you know your students very well, so you know whom to address this question and that question.
Effective use of the modern technology like internet, it saves time in research.
Effective use of technology. Definitely. One benefit of technology, it saves you a lot of things. We're just trying to explore everything, okay?
Involving the parents for coming guest lectures. And
involving parents would save you some time. What else? Yes.
Better coordination between the teachers so that the students can form links.
Wonderful. Teachers coordinate together, work together. Of course, they can benefit from the resources they have, from the ideas that they have. Okay, I think it's a good topic for discussion. We'll take a break and we'll come back, inshallah, to complete it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
You must give the children the right understanding of Salah. They just love to communicate with Allah.
Enriching their life.
If our children really understand the hikmah of Salah, then our children become a clean children.
Hussein Yee.
To be careful from day one. Hayya ala Salah, now they respond to the prayer.
Building their confidence.
You want them to be a doctor? Alhamdulillah. Be a doctor with Iman.
Grasp the methods that enhance your motivational skills in Parenting in Islam, next on Peace TV.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back after the break. We discussed 2 elements in classroom management. We talked about managing resources and managing time. And now we're left with managing human beings, managing students. What do we mean by managing them?
Maintaining the discipline in the classroom.
Okay, maintaining the discipline in the classroom so that I manage their behavior and I manage their actions as much as I can so that I can use the time properly.
Yes.
Okay. What are the difficulties that we find here?
To keep the students attentive.
Please, you can talk. Yeah, it's not necessarily to wait for me until I ask the question. If I didn't complete the meaning, right, you can complete it. Yes.
It also means successfully engaging all different types of students in the class.
Okay. If I manage students well, it helps me a lot to engage all of them.
By having at least a single a teacher's assistant in a class, someone like who could cater to especially the remedial learning part of it, or where children with special abilities, like if someone's like moving around in the class constantly, very hyperactive.
Good.
So that one person could focus specially on that child who will distract even the others.
Okay. If the school has 30 classes, right? And they have 5 teachers, right, to work as assistants, where do you think we can use them? Is it in primary? Is it in KG? Is it in high school? Is it in middle school? What is your idea about this? Now imagine yourself a principal and you are in this situation. Where would you use them? Of course, depending on their expertise. But where most of the students use them?
At primary level.
Primary or KG? I think
KG,
most of them use them in KG, right?
KG by
Yes.
default, they have more than
Okay.
one teacher.
You know that this is a double mistake that they do. Because now they are using 2 people, right, to force the children to behave like adults. 2 crimes in one. 2 crimes in one. This is how I see it. So, yes, I think if I am a principal, and depending on the distribution of the students in the school, if I have some classes for the troublemaking students, this is where I would use them. If my classification is this. I know that class grade 12B has more problems than any other class in level 12. So I would use them in this class. So depending on the needs, unless they are not specialized in all these stages. Some sort of this is the technician lab. There's a big difference when the lab has a technician and when the teacher has to do everything to help himself. It's very time consuming. It distracts the teacher. So labs should have them. Libraries, because you can use them in libraries very well. Even they can do the job that you want to do if you train them to. Okay, some comments, yes?
Yes, I would like to comment over here is that we are not trying to get them out of the childhood. The reason why we need 2 teachers in KG is because, for example, if I tell them to write something, they may not be in a position to even sharpen a pencil. So we need an assistant to sharpen the pencil.
I know. So, why would we sharpen the pen? Why do you use a pencil in kindergarten?
When a child begins to
this is again, we want them to behave like adults. Yeah, I want you to understand it. Yes. The whole rationale behind this is that we want them to behave like adults. Yeah, why would they do that? They use things that doesn't need any effort. They can do that. You know that the rationale behind doing these things is to help them grow their fine motor skills. The muscles are not created, right? The children who play in the street, the muscles are created quicker because they play with the sand, with the clay, with everything. In classroom, if the teacher doesn't understand this, by the way, so she is not aware of this. Playing with clay is very important. Before we teach the children, for example, writing, I had the research I presented it in Malaysia about this. For example, is playing with some games that would develop them. For example, making your hand like this. Ask the children to do this. Every period in the beginning of it, you can ask them to do like this. Now I'm moving from right to left. Okay? Can you do that? Begin from right to left. Do it. Yes? Okay. And in order to help your student do this very well, you give them your back, right? So they would imitate you easily. If you're confronting them, it becomes difficult. Okay, now we're writing from right to left. Okay? Now from left to right. Some people are not doing. Quicker. Slower. Quicker. Now we are trying to help them to develop these muscles that is needed for this. And you can do different things, other things, okay? Can make like this. And let them move. You can do this in the playground, not in the classroom. Okay, you can teach them, okay. And this is very helpful in Arabic. All the waw and the ra and the ha can be done by this. You're not explaining anything to them. They just let them do that. And after that, even on the board, when you ask them to come to the board, do these things, do these. Don't tell them that this is ha or ba, or you help them a lot to do this. Now, when they have the muscles, you can do. When you come to the board and write them, connected all of them, you start erasing them, they look like letters. They are exactly letters, right? The ra, for example, is quarter of a circle. So if you write a circle, right, divide it into 4, erase 3 parts of it, the ra is 1/3 of the circle. So if they know how to make the circle, they can make the ra very easily. And the ra and the zai is from the same category, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's come back to this point. Yes, if you have assistants, this is a good idea, but you should know how to use them. We enter classrooms, unfortunately, we find the teacher is doing the whole job and the assistant is taking rest. If I give you an assistant, you should ask yourself how I manage him or I manage her to get the best of him. Yeah. Okay, again, this needs a different mentality of how to use the people who work with you. What else that helps us? What are the problems that we confront? What causes the problems? You said that first of all, if the school policy is not clear about discipline. They don't have a policy about discipline. They don't have 10 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In many schools, advanced schools, you go and you see that they're very huge. And the teacher teaches them to the children in the beginning of it. And from time to time we review them. You know what you have done? You know where does this fall? The student himself would say, I know it's number 5. So they would relay this. They would make it their main thing. They think of it before applying it. This is, we call it in Islam, istifadat al-balagh. Yeah, you cannot apply a rule or a law unless everybody knows it. So that's why you need to take some time to share it with the student from time to time. You know that you have done it today, so I would apply number 1. Forgive the student if he does this. But he has to know that. And even you ask the student to read it. What did he do? So he would know it, and he would let others know. I did this and this, but the teacher forgave me because this is the first time I made. Okay, would you like to go to the second step, the second level? He would say, no, I don't want to go to the second level. I'll stop here. So it's a very rational discussion to live the rule, right? So this is something very important. So the rules, if you don't have rules in your school, you have to have rules in every classroom, and you review them. And most importantly, this is a weakness of some people, there are some workshops that are done in America that if you promise, fulfill, whether your promise is positive or negative. If you tell the students, I'm not allowing you in my class if you do this. So next time, right, even when the principal comes to you and say that please, for my sake is very common in the Arab world, alashani, they say that, okay? Even if the principal, it happens with me in the first year, in the first 2 months when I started teaching, and the principal sent the assistant principal, he said that please, for the sake of the principal, let the student in. I said no. It's either the student in the class or Mamdouh in the class. If the principal wants me to let him in, let the principal come and teach the class. Very clear. Very clear. So the students know you. Right? When you promise them something that you're going to do it, don't change your mind. So they would know you exactly that you're going. This is the thing that will make, and the whole Quran is based on this. Gradually, it takes you from the punishment from here to here to here, and then it ends in hellfire. So the punishment system should be very gradual, should be very soft in the beginning, right? It can be by a word, right? It can be by depriving a child from participation in the PE lesson, for example, because students love PE lesson. It can be by depriving a student from participating in an activity, right? It can be by a timeout. You know a timeout, of course? Yes, when you ask a student to sit in a place, right? And they don't recommend this usually in classroom. They recommend it at home, right? So there are many things, and I think you can read something about this. Okay, what else in classroom management? Managing people. Okay, one thing is for naughty students, right? For hyper students, you make them your assistant. Abdurrahman, it doesn't mean that I selected you because you are not yet. But this is what, give them tasks, task after task after task, challenging task. And when you ask students, ask them the toughest questions. So they are unable to answer the tough questions, so they are a little bit, yes, they start changing their behavior. Some of them, they do this, they want to show off. I am better than all of you, I can do this, I am a leader. So you can ask them to do tasks, right? You can ask them sometimes to let them sit beside you. You sit here and you ask him to sit beside you, and you tell him, okay, I want you to mark these points that we have covered. And you continue doing your work. And he is busy doing the act. Yes. You please him from one aspect because he seems a leader in front of you, right? But you are really keeping him away from trouble. So this is one technique that you can use. I used to do this in my class. I didn't have problems with my students. Alhamdulillah, at least the first year I worked in middle school. Yes, what else do you want to say, to comment? Any special situation and you couldn't confront it, you couldn't do it. And again, you have to be not just you, the head of the department, the principal. You should be speaking the same language. Because if you speak different languages, it's not going to work. They're going to use the influence of their fathers or the pressure on the principal. You should speak the same language in the school. Yes.
Sheikh, I really liked when you said that stick by rules, and you gave the example that either the principal teaches, either the child comes in or Mamdouh stays in. But many a times, what if the principal, he does not cooperate with you and he tries...
Not cooperating?
If the principal,
yeah,
he does not
make
cooperate
a revolution against the principal, or leave the school.
Like the one in Egypt.
If the principal does not understand these things, remember in the first day here we had principals, and intentionally, yes, I wanted the principals to come before you, so to give them background. We have to speak the same language.
That would go for any post, whether it's a supervisor or a principal, anyone.
Yes, anyone in the line manager, yes. All of them should speak the same language, because if any one of them violates, it breaks, it falls. Okay, I know it's an interesting topic, and if we need another episode, we can use another episode, but now the time is over. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.